What's this word mean?
Like, forgiving them is kind of like fixing the broken part of the issue.
So God no longer sees that sin. It's gone.
Forgives is like duct tape. You fix things with it.
No,
Until the
it's
duct
not
tape
like duct
breaks.
tape, because duct tape what? You can still see.
What happens if
You can still see the duct tape.
what happens if the duct
Invisible.
unless
Okay.
invisible
What about
duct
clear
tape?
flex tape?
I just said that.
Dries clear.
So God forgives, and the sacrament of penance and reconciliation and our relationship to Him is what?
Unbreakable.
Here's me and God. Every sin, what?
Damages it.
Damages is because I move away from God. Every time I sin, I move away. Venial sin, we said, we're still what? I'm still looking at God. I can still see God. Mortal sin means what?
You're turning away.
I turn away from God. But see, what happens if I do enough venial sin? If I get far enough away from God, what?
Can't see him.
Can't see Him. So we can actually get into a state of mortal sin. Mortal sin is not really normally just one action. Okay? Mortal sin is a series. And they say we get into a state of mortal sin. Like a condition of being. Because we've gotten so far away from God. Because we haven't taken the opportunities that we have, like at Mass. But even, so I don't have to go to confession for a venial sin. I don't have to.
But you should.
What's the good thing about going to reconciliation? Instead of just doing it at Mass.
You won't forget to do it.
Possibly.
No. You could just do talk to God.
Well, the priest is a representative of God. Some priests, though, haven't done a very good job. Some people have left the Catholic Church because they went to confession and the priest shamed them. They had a bad experience with a priest at reconciliation. And so they just said, if this is what it's about, I'm not even going to be in the church anymore. In other words, the priest, because they're a human being, even though they're supposed to be a representative of who? God. Priests are sinners too. And there are some priests that sometimes their flesh gets in the way. When they're performing the sacrament. I've been waiting for a priest to do that to me so I could just stand up and say, oh, I'm sorry, I came here to be forgiven. I'm gonna go to a place where I can be forgiven. And maybe that action would actually do what to that priest? Make them think about how they're relating to this person that's come before them as a representative of God. Because God would never shame us. Jesus would never shame us. Make us feel embarrassed or shameful. That's not what forgiveness is. Forgiveness is say, so there was my sin. What?
It's forgiven them.
Well, this one you can actually, I need to use some of that expo on it. Okay? We can't see it anymore. Come on. The other good thing about it is this is what we get at reconciliation. Every sacrament, you get this. What is this? You've probably heard that before. You get grace. Every sacrament gives you grace. What is it?
I was gonna say something else. So, if you're saying that we're talking about forgiveness, and it's bad if because some priests shame people for their sins, you're going to fix that by standing up and shaming the priest?
I'm not shaming him. I'm just gonna say, I came here to be forgiven. Should that make him, okay? Hopefully, there's a difference between being shamed and being convicted. Our sins, okay, when we recognize our sin, we should be convicted. Satan wants us to be shamed and tell us you are so worthless, you don't deserve anything from God. Because Satan wants to keep us from going where? Yeah. And he wants to keep us from actually going and receiving this sacrament. He's going to say, you are worthless scum. That's the tape sometimes we get played in our head. You are so terrible. Look at what you just did. How could God love you? Those are the lies he's going to whisper to you. And they're lies, because that isn't who God is. God says, come to me. Even when we turn our back on him, God's still what? Saying, come to me. There is no sin that can separate us from God. He's always going to be there. But we get the choice. Okay? The grace here, what I'm talking about, when we go to this sacrament, grace is like power. So when that temptation for that sin comes again, I've got extra grace that I receive to fight that temptation. Every time you go to reconciliation, you get grace to help you fight the sins that you confessed. He's going to give you more grace to do that. So we get two things at reconciliation. We get grace, and what else do we get?
Forgiveness.
We get forgiveness. We get mercy. Remember did we define these earlier on this year?
Yeah.
What's the definition of mercy? And grace. We defined both of them, didn't we? Mercy is what? We don't get
Something that you deserve.
what we deserve. And what do we deserve?
Help.
We deserve hell. We deserve hell. That's what we deserve. You just did those posters. That's what? Justice is what? Getting what? Justice is getting what you deserve. So, if we were totally justice, we'd all should be going to hell. But because of God's what?
Mercy.
Mercy, we don't. God covers our sin. Okay? And then grace is we get what we don't deserve. See, here's the difference is Satan condemns you. God condemns what? You know what God condemns? Sin. Okay? We need to learn to do this. We condemn people instead of condemning what?
Ourselves.
Their sin. Can I judge your heart? No. But if somebody did something bad, can I judge that behavior? Okay? So instead of saying, you jerk, we should just say, what you did right there was not jerkish.
That's definitely
Okay.
a word. Turkish.
So how then do we know? We said this before too, right? How do we know we're into this area that we need to ask for God's forgiveness. We said this before, right? What tells you? We talked about it last week, didn't we?
Your conscience?
Your conscience tells you.
Oh.
Who has a conscience? Good. I'm glad you guys all have one. Some of you guys don't.
I don't know.
Fred, you don't have one?
Oh, sorry.
James, you don't have one?
I raised my hand, I just put it down.
You're just demonstrating one of the capital sins. You know what one of the capital sins are? You know what capital sins are?
No.
There's 7 capital sins. Basically, all other sins came from these 7 sins.
Let's see.
You know which one he's demonstrating?
Gluttony. Brad. Oh, don't. But they're going. Yes.
The 8th graders are really into this one now.
Lazy.
What? It's called sloth.
Sloth. My brother would love that.
That's a capital sin.
Sloth.
Laziness.
I want to be a sloth.
That means we're not using our gifts the way we're supposed to. So maybe you struggle with sloth. Maybe you struggle with one of the other capital sins. But there are 7 of them. All of us struggle with
You know, that should be called.
one aspect of one or the other. We're pledging, a lot of our pledges trying to deal with against some of those sins. Okay? And our conscience is telling us what you did there or what you're thinking there, that's wrong. Don't do that. And how do you properly form it? So we got a short video on how you form a conscience. Did we watch a video on this before?
No, I don't think so.
11 notifications.
11 notifications. It's telling me how many notifications I've had.
It's not a lot at all.
I like to hear that. It tells me I'm popular, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that what that means? So when I get 100 pop-ups, that means I'm really popular, right?
I know, I put the group chat on there to hide alerts.
Hey.
How can I form my conscience?
Speed run.
Hey, yo, they fun to rob a bank.
Like they
When was this filmed?
Probably 2000.
We're gonna be so happy. Yeah, and we can buy everything we want.
They're
and
going
we want
so
little,
fast.
Like yum-yums and video
This is
games
what happens
with,
when
like, a
kids
box
have
truck running around.
Yeah.
Hey, wait. Third right. That's the Atlantic Ocean. The GPS is turn right. You didn't plug it in. Did you just draw on this? I'm going straight. I can't believe it, Dave. So thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for that. We're on the road still. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. They died. They're dead.
Getting into heaven is actually even more important than winning a top secret cross country and legal road. That's why we have to make sure that our moral GPS, our conscience,
Just go
is
with the
pointing us
future
in the right
Jesus.
direction.
Jesus is on the
So how can
genius.
we even know that our conscience is formed in truth and not in some personal bias or societal error? After all, when John Wilkes Booth shot Lincoln, his conscience told him that he was freeing the country from a tyrant. The answer is actually pretty simple. Listen to the Catholic Church. Christ founded the church to get us to heaven. So the church has her teaching from God himself and has never changed them. She's even spent the last 2,000 years clarifying and explaining them for us. So, how long have you been working on your own?
Do next one on that. Now I get it. For more, go to youngcatholicminute.com.
No,
I don't.
2010. I told you.
that rates are really good.
So they only gave one way to form your conscience. It's a good way.
Crash your car.
Crash your car.
Okay?
What I just said.
Now what they're saying is your conscience is like what? It's like a GPS. It's telling you which way to go. So if we got a line right here, see, we got a point right here. I'm here. And heaven is over there. We know in math that the shortest distance between 2 points is what?
7.
Who knows the shortest distance between 2 points? So if I put a point here and a point here, what's the shortest distance?
1.
3.
Straight line. A straight line is the shortest distance.
Did you draw one?
So this is us. This is heaven. Okay? Our conscience is keeping us on this line. Satan, all he wants to do is what?
Wrinkle it.
Because you don't even have to get very far from the line. Right here, if I just get off the line a little bit, and then I start walking that way,
Just go back up.
then here's what happens. So I'm going to try to do this. Here's my straight line, okay? Okay. Let's say I got off right here. So then I'm just going to continue on that line.
Stumps.
And if I got further off, what?
Well, then you go completely off.
See where I am?
As you can see, the stock market is rising.
I'm way away from where I want it to be. That's what these little sins do to us.
Take it through.
If we don't correct them. We correct them by going to reconciliation. When we correct them, we get where? Back on this line.
So just try.
But when we don't, we can be so far away from where we want to be. Satan, that's what Satan's goal is. He wants us just get off the line a little bit. This little sin ain't gonna matter. It's not a big deal. So he's trying to trick us. Okay? And then he doesn't want you doing this. He doesn't want you going to God for mercy. He doesn't want you repenting of your sin. Because he knows when you do that, you're going to get grace, power, to deal with that sin again. So you're more likely to do what? If you have grace,
Not do it.
you're going to stay on the line. Okay? And what helps you stay on the line is your conscience. It's telling you this is wrong, this is right. And everybody has one, but some people have it formed properly. And they give you one way. How do you form it properly? Who's giving you directions?
The GPS. Church.
The church is giving you directions. The church is giving you directions. Where can we find them?
On the GPS.
We got one over here, remember?
Okay, I drew an example.
It's not a Bible. This is the church's directions. Remember, this tells you what?
How could be a good Catholic?
This tells you everything the church teaches. It's full of the other thing we should go to. Somebody said it. What? That helps us form our conscience.
Yeah, the GPS aid.
Okay? This. Don't leave yet. Don't leave yet.
Why not?
You guys came late to my class. Can't you leave late from my class?
Yeah. I'll wait.
I wasn't late.
Where else can you? Well, you need to come up with two more ways to form your conscience. Then, that's one of the assignments. Write it down. Take out your planner. Write it down. First of all, some of you need it. If you didn't write down service project, write that down. We are actually through this chapter. I want you to finish the chapter, which is pages to page 263, and do the review on page 263. Chapter 15 review. That means the test is when?
Friday?
Wait, no.
Right.
Oh yeah, it is Friday.
Okay, test is on Friday. If I get it made up, I haven't made it up yet. Read the 263. Do.
Religion, and this is a Catholic school. This is why my parents sent me here. I have one of the best points that I have ever made in my life.
What class do we have after this?
You got a question, Matt? You got a question?
Actually, I'm probably not going to be here on Friday.
Who the what?
I know.
Well, then you'll take it. Take it the day you get back.